when we want to metaphorically or literally sing our song, you know, if we're feeling some sort of like soul desire to do XYZ, feeling some intuitive push, if we're denying that, we're really like denying the harmony that wants to exist. Like when we sing our song, like there's others that are going to show up that want to harmonize with us, that want to sing along to that heart song. And like literally just people want to hear what you have to say. Like, people want to see you shining. People want to cheer each other on. I mean, what's more like enlivening than seeing the human spirit like really like stand up?
It occurred to me, I was thinking about authenticity and how when we're not being fully authentic, we're like neutral. Because, you know, there's always going to be people who love what you say and who hate what you say. But when you're not being authentic, it's just neutral and everybody's like okay with you. But it's not until you have the polarity that you have magnetism. So you can't even attract the right people to you. For our mindfulness moment today, I'd like us to guide our attention to the air in the room. Does it feel like it's holding some movement? Is it still? Take a couple deep breaths. Moving the awareness now. Your body, the weight of yourself in your seat, how your shoulders feel. Are they holding something or are they relaxed? And this might sound funny, but notice for a second your brain. Does it feel relaxed in your head? Or is there something that you can let go? And to now just take a moment to ask questions to the rest of your body. Even if it's just, are you here with me?
The definition of a great life is a life where your decisions are routinely based more strongly on your curiosity than your fear every single day in all your realms of your life. And then your life itself will become a work of art, and it doesn't matter what you make or produce or leave or influence. It's just that you will create a life that will be really interesting.
Speak of anxiety, you don't think of it as a symptom to be removed, but rather as a gateway for exploration into the meaning of life.
Yes, I think anxiety is associated with creativity. It's as though the world is knocking at your door, and you need to create, you need to make something, you need to do something. And I think anxiety thus is for people who have found their own heart and their own souls. For them it is a stimulus toward creativity, toward courage. It's what makes us human beings.
Take a moment to notice the blending of yourself and the space around you. Ready? Open your eye or move a little bit. Whatever you need to do to come out of this meditation.
Thank you for tuning into the ReMinders podcast. Hope you enjoyed that meditative guide from Selena. A little upbeat backdrop soundtrack there. The Daydreamer trio has finally begun recording our debut EP. That'll be the opening track called Sing Your Song, which felt like an appropriate intro for this podcast. Selena and I are back at it. Figured it was time for our annual check-in on the podcast. She was in town for the 4th of July, and at one point it dawned on us that exactly down to the day, a year prior was the last time that we saw each other in person. So, funny that we have a nice little annual cycle at this point. But unlike the last couple visits, we chose not to record a podcast while she was in town. But I just went on a week road trip up to Grateful Fest, stopped in Yell Springs and Columbus on the way up, and then took an extended trip to Pittsburgh and surrounding areas after the festival last week. So her and I hopped on a call and just spent some time just processing that trip and some other things. Sort of centered around the ideas of making decisions, knowing which aspect of ourselves to listen to and to trust in that decision-making process, and also coming into authentic expression, authentic living, sowing the seeds for all the above. So we'll go ahead and hop into that part of the conversation. As always, feel free to join the conversation in the comments section, connect with us on Instagram and everything else like that at ReMinders for Living Lucid. Appreciate y'all. Been funny to think in terms of like main quest versus side quest. It was really funny being on the road, like how much I was faced with like a series of, in every moment I'm basically faced with like, what decision am I going to make? Which path am I going to take? You know, specifically at a festival. I know you're not as familiar to the festival energy, but it's kind of like in every moment it's like, all right, what are my needs? What are my wants? If I'm going to leave home base and go to the stage, like what things should I bring? Like what should I wear? All this stuff. It's just like a constant like check-in and stuff. And then it was sort of like extended traveling. Cause again, I'm just out on the road. It's like, where am I going to go? Who am I going to hit up? Am I going to hit anybody up? Like, am I just going to freewheel? And, yeah, that was definitely like the big lesson was decision making. And which aspect of myself I'm either in a habit of listening to, and then also like which aspect of myself do I actually want to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
I've been unpacking that a lot. Yeah.
I guess I'm kind of curious why that sensitivity to those decisions came up. Like, what about the environment made it more pronounced?
About the festival or just being on the road in general?
Both.
Being out of the routine is really like the primary thing. That's what I've been thinking of. Like, I mean, I'm only one work day in of being back at home, but even today, it's like I just know what I'm doing with my time until I get to the free time, you know. But even the free time has habitual energy, right? Like we just get on a grind, like get in a groove that gets worn deep because of work schedules and whatever other schedules or routines or habits just tend to form. Whereas like out in the open, out in the wild, there's not a deep groove of what's my habit. I was kind of building that habit as I was going along, you know, like.
So what do you feel like you're able to take away from that less structured time and you come back to like your structured day-to-day work, habits, home?
Well, I really reached some clarity as far as like my decision-making process, which I'll come back to, but more specifically to your question, I think part of what was really obvious was just like, and I even said this to one of my friends as I was leaving, like, I was like, yeah, I really want to have an intention of like when I do land back in my space, like I don't want to just like end up on my phone in my bed just scrolling and like burning time. And of course, that's what I did a lot of the last couple of days. Just for whatever reason, I don't know. The gravity is strong, habitual gravity is strong.
I want to come back to that.
Okay.
About the scrolling.
Okay. And also just whatever. I needed to veg. I'm not shaming or blaming myself about it at all, but it's just that. So that, like, that's not actually like the gravity I want to hold during moments that I have time to myself. I want to use my free time, but there was positives to it too. I also like started doing some decluttering in my space, just like little by little. I didn't like overwhelm my system by being like, all right, dude, you got to like commit to the next, do it till it's done. I just did a little bit, come back the next day, do a little bit more. And it already is feeling better. It's looking better. Like there's more to do. I'm not done, but it's just like,
I love talking about decluttering. So
yeah. That was just kind of one of the things that kind of became present was like, I almost feel like I've been treating this space as a transient space, even though I've been here almost 2 years. But in some part of my mind, I'm like, I'm not going to be here forever. So like, what's the point of making it really homey? And what's the point of like taking care of it? But that's a terrible attitude. Like, what if I had that attitude about my body? Like, oh, well, I'm not going to be here forever, so I might as well not take care of myself, It's like, enjoy it while you're here. Yeah, do you want to circle back?
Ooh, scrolling. I have a story about that from this week. So
okay.
Right now there's a we'll just call it a social media boycott that's going on right now for a week. And I saw a few people post about it, and at first I wasn't going to do it, but I was like, yeah, why not? As you know, I'm someone, who takes long pauses from social media, but this is different because I'm kind of challenging myself to really be off of it. So it's like, I deleted all my social media. I kept my Pinterest because I think I would probably not be okay.
There's always something we keep. It's like, I kept my Etsy, like I'm still scrolling eBay.
I'm still debating. I still might get rid of it. But I don't know. Anyway.
There you go.
So I'm at this point of like pretty much a social media detox that's on a deeper level than I've ever experienced before. And I'm realizing like this is hard. Like, even as somebody who does regular social media detoxes, like on this depth and for a whole week, man, I think I'm at 2-3 days in.
Oh, I was gonna ask, yeah.
I had the shakes yesterday.
Legit? Okay.
Mentally.
Okay.
But what I was realizing is like, it's good, but it's also difficult because it's making me face something that happened in my life recently, which I feel like I didn't realize I was kind of numbing by scrolling. So it's like now I'm figuring out the things that I was numbing that, I thought I was okay with, but like, dang, I feel stuff a little more deeper now that I don't have my usual escape.
Yeah, well, tell me, what are you doing instead? What are the habits you want to replace? More
what
fruit.
am I doing? Sometimes I just sit and stare at the wall.
There's got to be that too. I know you are.
Sometimes I like imagine my spirit team as like visual people, like actual people sitting around me, and I just talk to them like, "Hey guys, I need to talk to you about something." The other thing I've been doing is because there's been moments where I wanted to post because I'm really into Threads lately. That's my favorite social media app.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And yeah, because I'm pretty new to it, so
I should get back on there.
I told you about it yet.
Yeah, gotcha.
But yeah, so I've been having moments where I wanted to post, so I've just been writing those in my journal. I've been journaling more than usual for me lately. What else have I been doing? I don't know. Just I'm kind of only a couple days in, so
yeah.
How to sit with the discomfort.
Right. I just have to ask because I'm like trying to I think that's something that's come up a lot for me lately. and sort of informing this idea that you and I have talked about, and I've mentioned to a lot of people, that I'm feeling sort of like burnt out in Cincinnati, and just like kind of like, what am I doing with my life and my time, even though I'm like comfortable. And
yeah, we need to get you out of there.
it's true. But, you know, but like, it's regardless, I take me wherever I go.
Yeah,
and I've tried to just,
I actually disagree with that.
okay, true. But I will say, in my experience of like, yeah, we'll come back to that in terms of like, even in Chicago, like that was more so escaping than I would like to admit.
What was?
Going to Chicago, like choosing to, like going to college in Cincinnati was not an option for me. Like I needed to leave. It was like, in some ways, just feeling like escapist a bit, not feeling, you know, whatever. But it was also that Sagittarius urge to see something else, and it was a good opportunity to do so. And obviously, no regrets. Like, you know, that's how you and I connected, and blah blah blah. But that was my experience. I remember feeling clever at the time of like, this phrase came to mind of like, it's not about where you're at, but who you're spending your time with, and like, and now I would add like what you're doing more so than anything. But like, yeah, all that to say, what am I doing with my free time? I mean, it seems like a really basic thing, but like, I need better go-tos for how I'm spending my time with myself. And I feel like that is a habitual energy I've brought into every place that I've lived, is, you know, a bit of this sloth, a bit of this gluttony, a bit of this, like, you know what I mean? Just losing ourselves to the sauce of the internet and everything like that. And I don't want to say it's an unquestioned habit, but it's still like such a normal thing. Even out in public, you know, it's not unheard of at all for people to just whip out their phone and start scrolling or something. Like, in public? Girl, you better put that away. Like,
I didn't realize how much I depended on that. And then being around a bunch of people this weekend, and I was like, I look up and everybody's on their phone, and I'm just like,
yeah. It's so normalized.
I was looking through my photos on my phone at one point. I was like, oh!
Right, I know. I've been there too, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just so normalized that we've like sort of gotten a little bit socially stupid. You know, it's dumbed us down in terms of like, how do you just get to know people? Like, how do you just strike conversation about nothing and let it lead to something? So yeah, I'm definitely like trying to get back into the meditation and the yoga and all this stuff. And I can't remember if I told you, but the trio started recording 4 songs, so we're putting an EP together. So that's been good. Kind of gave me some purpose too in that way. Like really like reignited a bit of a fire of doing production work, which I've taken a long hiatus from. So that's been good. But yeah, I think just like getting out, seeing some different things, engaging with life differently is giving me a different reference point to how I can engage differently even at home.
Yeah.
But it also brought a question up of like, what is it about home that feels safe and comfortable and cozy and like something that I want to run back to at the end of a day or at the end of a heavy energy exchange of just not heavy as in like, you know what I mean? Like trauma dumping or anything, but just like heavy as in like, I've been out all day going from bop to bop, you know what I mean? Just like getting exhausted at the end of the day. Like, how can I sort of evoke that sense of home more so in my body and less so in my bed or my bedroom? You know? So that's been a good reminder. It's just like, okay, I just need to check in with myself. When it's time to leave, it's time to leave. When it's time to take space, it's time to take space. Whatever. And am I really like fostering the vibe and fostering the flow through taking care of myself? Am I really nourishing myself best spiritually and physically, you know, all those things. But yeah, the other thing too is just like being active, honestly, like amplifies the energy, which is counterintuitive to how I've always kind of felt about being active. I always feel like
you're talking about like exercising,
but also just being out of the house, just like burning calories, just, you know, being active, being out of the chair and the bed and whatever else, you know, even if it's at a desk, like working, but still not being super active in the body. Yeah. It's using the body. I used to think that there was like a health bar of energy, you know, and it's going to deplete as we are active, but it's really not that way at all. So that's been also present lately.
So would you say that like regularly participating in movement makes you want to do more stuff or feel like you can do more stuff?
Yeah, both. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It shakes out a stagnation, and like it's like dusting on a cellular level, you know what I mean? Like when I'm not moving, I'm just collecting psychic residue, and it just builds up and gets gunky, and you know, you start to get stiff, and the longer we take to do the active things, the more that just leads into depression of just not wanting to get up at all and even do basic stuff.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also been like, I mean, you know, I've been going to the gym a bit over the last year or so, and I'll hit the sauna and then try to take a cold shower afterward. I don't know why I said try. I do take a cold shower afterwards, but every time I'm like, okay, I just tap into this mantra of like, you know, you turn on the cold water and it's like, especially now that my body's so hot. And let's see, you can reach a threshold where you're so hot where you actually do want to get in the cold. But I just tell myself I do hard shit every day, and then I just hop into the water. It's been a good mantra, you know, just like practice doing stuff that's uncomfortable that you know is good for you.
I felt like I should mention about cold showers. Like, it's good for guys, but something I did learn is for women, it just spikes our cortisol. So it doesn't really have the same effect on us.
Is that right?
That could also depend on what part of our cycle we're in. So
yeah,
just something to note.
Okay. Yeah, definitely not a biologist, but I'd imagine maybe like after, I'm sure there is some context where it would be healthy. Maybe after like extraneous exercise.
I would say definitely try and avoid it during luteal phase because we're really sensitive to spikes in cortisol.
Okay.
During that time.
That makes sense. Gotcha. Yeah, something I can't really speak on, but it's fascinating the ways that like life really just unfolds differently for different bodies. Like being on a monthly cycle, I know that you get a little bit more into leaning into that than I hear most people at least talk about. I feel like that can be really good.
It's more so that I think the reason I've become so interested in it is because there have been certain like health and mental things I've struggled with throughout my life, and I realized that they're exacerbated by hormones.
Right.
And with women, our hormones are we have a completely different hormonal profile like every few days. So we basically have to learn how to take care of multiple different people. Like we're a different person approximately every week. Right. Not exactly, but approximately. Yeah. So there's certain things we can do and eat that are good for us one week, and the next week, like, don't do that shit.
Yeah. Right. Even down to like different habits that will be more conducive to health. Yeah.
Or different environments.
Yeah. Like I said, luteal, don't be like going real hard on the body and like jumping in the cold plunge.
During luteal, it's harder to recover from negative experiences. And even the way our brain saves it, like it's easier to get traumatized during your luteal phase. So like stay away from the drama.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know that.
But our brain chemistry just completely changes.
Yeah. Interesting. Gotcha.
Less resilient.
Good to know. Yeah, let's come back to decision making because you're more into human design than I am, and that's, I feel like, the one thing that I've wanted to dive into with human design as a bit of like a divination system, maybe you would call it. But one of the components for that system is the aspect of your authority. Would you say, or am I completely off? Is that like sort of the thing that You trust
So,
to make decisions is based on where your authority is.
Yes, but just one thought about the system first. The system is really kind of similar to astrology and uses some astrology, and it's basically taking the time and place that you were born, and I don't know exactly how they do it, but drafting up a chart of basically if planets were in this particular area, you have particular characteristics. And once you have this set of characteristics, you're this kind of profile, like you're this kind of aura type. And so it's a system. But the aspect that you're talking about of the system is, yes, it's called the authority. And there's a few different kinds. I'm no professional on this at all. Like, I just read a lot about it and try and figure it out just to understand myself better. So there's different types of authorities, and they're basically under the concept that we're conditioned to make decisions with our brain, like major life decisions and even little decisions in the moment to moment. And most people, or maybe not even anybody, I don't know if there's any type, but we'll just say most people are not designed to do that.
Hold on, I want to clarify real quick. When you say your brain, you're speaking like logic-minded, like logistic.
Logic, right. Like, your logic mind does not know what's best for you. It's just one component of your human experience that's here to help with certain things. Mm-hmm. But it's not the seat of wisdom. And one of the important things about human design is that it teaches you how to listen to your body. And different people need to listen in different ways. So I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like tapping into your body's wisdom to know which directions to move in life.
Do you know what the different options are? I know like splenic authority is one.
That one's mine.
Okay, the spleen.
That's the one I know most about.
Okay.
I also know about emotional wave, which I think most people are, it's called the emotional solar plexus authority, I believe.
Okay.
And I think most people have that one, or it's like a very common one. And there are a few others that I'm not familiar with at all. Okay.
Well, why don't you speak about the splenic one then, since you know most about it?
Oh my gosh, so splenic authority is
like, how do you relate to it as well?
So splenic authority is supposedly the quietest authority and the most difficult to hear.
Oh, great.
Like, we really have to be tapped in. Us splenic folks really have to like buckle down and learn how to block out the noise. And the problem is that all the other energy centers of the body, like there's one, I forget what it's called, but there's one in the head, and that's the one that can end up, logic, mind taking over, overthinking, etc. And the splenic has to drown out the noise of all the other energy centers of human design in the body and be able to hear and feel this like gut instinct.
Okay. Oh, okay.
In the moment, if somebody invites us to do something or to go down a certain path or to do a certain thing, whatever, we would get like, it's called a splenic hit, which is our body will tell us yes or no. I think spleen usually speaks in no's. So like, we'll know immediately in the moment whether something is right for us, but then it's said that if we miss that, then it's gone. So it's like, not only is it quiet, but it comes once and you can miss it.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Got me fucked up.
I'm going to come back to that. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I was upset at first when I learned that, but then it occurred to me, I'm like, this is a great opportunity to prioritize being able to listen to myself, so that I'm not dismissing that first intuition, or letting my mind talk me out of what I know I felt. So
you said that it speaks more in no's, but it is like a subtle.
I'm still experimenting with it because I don't know if it's just a no for me, because sometimes I feel a full body yes.
Okay.
but it may not be the spleen. We're still figuring it out.
Yeah. Could you speak any more about like qualitatively how that yes or no feels? Is it just a knowing, or do you literally feel a sensation in your body?
So I'll just speak from my experience because I can't really say what is exactly the spleen or not.
Yeah.
I'm just experimenting with my understanding of what I know. So I will say what I experience is, let me think of an example. Okay. I went to a party last year where as soon as I walked in the door, I felt like I did not want to be there, which is crazy because I was so excited about going until the moment, led up to going there. I was looking forward to it. I knew it was going to be people there that I wanted to connect with. But as soon as I walked in that door, I was like,
Yeah.
And I'm really sensitive to space and energy and stuff. So it's like in that moment, my body was trying to tell me to go home. But I rode with other people, so I was kind of screwed.
Been there.
But yeah, it's like, so I will say that's an example because a lot of times in my past, I would have just dismissed something like that. And I did that day because I was before I started working too deeply with like my authority.
Like just chalk it up to social anxiety or something like that.
Exactly. That's literally what I did that day. I was like, oh, I must be anxious. But I was fine before I walked in the door. But yeah, so it's moments like that where I am turning up the volume and, clocking, paying more attention to, taking note of it. And when I'm in situations where I can do something about it and pivot, I'm taking that opportunity immediately. Because usually I used to be like, oh, no, I don't want to leave. I want to be nice because, I showed up and it's not nice to just disappear immediately. But, like, the spleen is telling you in an instant, like, get out of there.
Wait, so what was your experience? Like, was it clocking something did it end up being a bad experience? Something happened?
It wasn't horrible or anything, but I didn't feel good there. I felt really drained when I got home, and it wasn't just the normal, social energy. It was like I did not feel good.
There was some kind of energy leakage
I would
present.
have had a much better evening if I had gone home.
Yeah, gotcha. Nothing too severe.
So it's moments like that. Of course, I've had more intense examples of stuff I should have walked away from, but that was a good one that showed me like, oh, that's what my body sounds like when it's telling me no.
Right.
Oh, and how easily your head can just tell you, oh, no, blah, 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 it's this and that, push through, da-da-da. Like, no. So that's what I'm experimenting with right now is taking that no, that splenic hit, and acting on it whenever I can now. Not saying that's the right thing to do, but that's my experiment right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes
so
sense.
I'm learning if that works for me or not.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because it's true for me as well that when there's a no, that feels louder than like what I was experiencing at the festival and afterwards was like more so just an awareness that there's multiple paths, at least two paths to choose to walk down. And a lot of times one is a path of like the comfort zone autopilot, and then there will be a spark of something, whether it's like gravity between me and another person or just like a quiet or loud desire to be doing something else with my body and my time, whether it's like we're chilling, but maybe I want to be like making music or something. Like, we're chilling, but maybe I want to be like jumping off the cliffs into the water, like swimming, or like whatever it is. At this festival, you got all those options.
Right.
So more so navigating like, what do I actually want to be decorating my time and my life story with? Yeah, when the no's are present, like I feel like I'm pretty tuned in to like, no, that's not right for me. But really having like a strong enough desire to like, no, I want to like break the flow and create something specific, or just open up to a surprise to, I'm jumping out of the river. I'm taking a detour here. You know what I mean?
So what you're saying is actually making me think about, because you're a generator. So it's making me think about a generator's design is that you respond to things. So it's like you're just minding your own business and something comes by and it either lights you up or it doesn't. And if it lights you up, you're supposed to engage with it and follow that train of reality.
Okay.
You know? Like,
that checks out.
Yeah, so it reminded me of that when you were saying, like, oh, you know, if you run into a person and you want to talk to them. But yeah, it's like you're getting a whole bunch of little things to respond to.
Yeah, little data points, little like bids for attention or something on an energetic level.
That's what's supposed to move you as a generator.
I see.
And your authority, whatever your authority is, will tell you whether to engage with it or not, or I don't know what your specific type is, but
I don't either.
Like, once you figure it out, it'll be an experiment to understand it.
Okay. Well, I do feel like I've made really good, healthy progress in this way, because my habit for most of my life, you know, as a child, it was just like survival normal. This is just what being alive is like shying away from hard things, essentially. But as like an adolescent, like young adult and whatnot, at times this has been like a source of suffering for me to be like, wow, I'm addicted to my comfort zone. I know that what I really want is on the other side of like being brave enough to follow these impulses or like sparks of curiosity or whatever it may be. But I just haven't really practiced it too much. You know, there's been moments, of course, there's been like when things build up and something really needs to move, like, yeah, I've done hard things in my life, but like, it's not my habit. So I feel like I built a little bit of a habit of honoring those sparks, because I had this conversation with someone this week, my friend Maddie, and we really like, I think something really clicked into place that I'm excited to speak to you about here in a second. But I was saying to her that I feel like sometimes when there is that spark of something, that if we don't honor it in that moment, like it might not even be the best path if I hesitate to take it. Do you know what I mean? Like almost like if you are driving, you're like, oh, there's my right. If you don't take it and then you take a right 3 seconds later, you're going to be running off the road into the forest. Or whatever.
That's actually really interesting, because a lot of people are, what is it called? The emotional solar plexus authority. And with that particular authority, you're supposed to like follow a cycle of waiting to know whether something is right for you.
Oh, interesting.
And I think it's more so with probably major decisions, but
sure.
One of the things, you know, one of the indications of whether a direction in life is correct for you or not is that it will be able to wait for you to go through your emotional wave, which could take a few hours, days, weeks, months.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so it's really interesting. And that's why it's an experiment, because it's like you have to try it and see if it actually works for you or how to do it.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I ought to do my human design chart soon, see if all these things check out. But yeah, that was just a thought too, and I don't know how true that is. I guess it depends on the person, depends on the situation. And you know me, like one of my highest spiritual virtues is trust, you know, and I have a deep well of trust in reality. But I don't always trust myself and my body and my mind to like align with the reality that I would actually prefer to witness. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's why I think experimenting is so important, because I feel like I've been building trust. Because your decision-making process, if you sit down and evaluate how you make decisions, then you can decide if you want to do something different, like have a different process. And even if it's not a decision, you can just like map it out enough to know if you want to try something different. So, and I wonder if that might be a takeaway from this conversation, you know, because we've been talking about the decision process, and it's not so much whether there's a right or wrong way to make decisions, but you have to be aware of the way that you're making decisions in order to try something different.
Totally. Yeah. Especially if you find yourself in that really uncomfortable moment of indecisiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if it's in a critical moment where like time is of the essence, that can be really, yeah.
Yeah. Like, what is your method of making decisions under pressure?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you consistently go by the same way of making decisions in that kind of situation in order to see what the results are?
Right. Yeah. It's like asking yourself too, like, what's our tendency? Which part of ourselves do we usually listen to? Am I listening to the logic brain? Am I listening to maybe, I don't know if instinct's the right word, but some sort of like survival mechanism of just trying to stay safe, which maybe is close to logic, maybe more of a felt sense, a felt fear, a visceral feeling.
One thing to also consider, especially for people with a lot of open centers, like projectors, I'm a projector, is that where are you making your decisions? Are you around other people? Because if you're around other people, all their influence is going to distort.
That was one of the other ones I was going to give an example of.
Yeah.
Do you just kind of like fawn and like wait till time or someone else makes the decision for you? Yeah, all that context.
You don't realize you're prioritizing other people's energy and feelings and stuff.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know that I want to give that example. Well, okay. For the sake of this might help someone. I have often found myself in situations where if I am dating someone and we're close, like we spend a lot of time together, it's hard for me to know what's right for me sometimes. And not because I don't sit with myself. I spend a lot of time alone. But it's like once you're in somebody's aura regularly, their aura is conditioning yours to be and do things a certain way. So sometimes you have to make a major decision very much alone. You may have to detox other people's energy for a few days before you really can hear, see, feel what's really you.
Right.
So this may not be as much of an issue for people with like fewer open centers, but for people in human design who are projectors and reflectors, like we are the most susceptible to other people's energy, and it can be hard to know which is us and which is them.
Right. And that like perfectly segues into a different system of attachment theory, and that's like another full course to digest as far as like how do we really separate our sense of emotional safety from the presence of other people that we love and want to be attached to and are in different ways, and like how to make that a healthy attachment. But I don't want to spend too much time getting into that today. So I was talking to my friend Maddie about this, and she was telling me about, because I was just processing out loud how that's been something that's been coming up for me a lot during this trip. Is like, I always do end up making what feels like the best decision. But again, I have this like crucial trust in myself or in reality. I trust that whatever happens is for the best. So that's helpful. But also I was in several moments of like, which way do I turn? Like, where am I going?
But in the moments, do you feel pressure? Like, where's the pressure coming?
A little bit of pressure of like, make sure your future self doesn't regret this. Like, make sure you came out here to do a thing, or you came out here for some reason. You had some inspiration. There's something I'm looking for. So there's a couple moments of like, what am I trying to get out of this? Like, what am I doing out here? Like, what am I doing? And so there's, it's a good question. Like, where is that pressure coming from? I think it was just that, like wanting to make sure that I spent my time in a way that I felt proud of. And just to touch on this briefly, like, I want to say that it took a while in my life to even like, of course, come to a sense of like deep trust, like unshakable trust, regardless of how much I don't want something to be happening. For instance, I still on a level trust it. I trust myself to survive a nightmare of a dream. And on the other end of it, I'm going to wake up and be like, okay, that was showing me something about myself or whatever it may be. Learning to like let go of attachment to expectations or attachments to certain outcomes, I feel like is one thing that was an achievement at some point in my life that I let go of, like sort of that childish, just being too expectant of how reality is to go, being attached to that. But I think that there's a shadow to going with the flow. I think this is something that like not enough people talk about, like toxic femininity, you know, like the shadow of the yin side of that, you know, like we all are pretty familiar with like toxic masculinity in ways that like we can be overly aggressive and whatever. But there's also like a shadow to just going with the flow, regardless of whether or not it's like in alignment with what we actually need or want. And I feel like I've experienced that like a deep.
I suspect a lot of the going with the flow has to do with numbness.
Numbness?
It's like not knowing your limits and not knowing that you have limits.
Yeah. I think you're right about that.
Like going with the flow can be healthy, but I'm talking about in its unhealthy.
No, yeah.
Manifestation.
And I think there can be unhealthy like motivators for going with the flow. I think sometimes it's just like, oh well, you know, just be cool. Like don't rock the boat. Like no one wants to have to deal with someone shifting the energy.
Right, yeah. Sometimes it's a sign of avoidance.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. A lot of times.
That's why situationships come into being.
yeah, at times. Yeah. So anyway, I was processing this with Maddie, and she was telling me about this retreat she was on or something. There was some kind of guided meditation that was happening, and they were imagining like a deity, like a god or something, and they're like, if that doesn't really resonate with you, and she was like, I didn't really. Just like imagine like a light, like a great light of consciousness or something. She's like, okay, I can go with that. And I was like, what if you imagined like your highest self, the version of you that's already gone through time and has done all the things that you want to do, has experienced everything that you want to experience and dream and all this stuff, and lives at the end of time, at the end of your life, and now is like looking back into the maze of time and whispering to you in different moments like, oh, that, by the way, that's the path I took to get to where I am. You know what I mean? And I feel like just that image really clicked for us both. And it's something I've been thinking about like every day since, you know, and that felt really stabilizing for me. Like in the process of making a decision, can I devote myself and my actions into whatever feels like it's in most resonance and alignment with my highest self?
Have you ever heard that thing where I've been seeing it going around on like social media where they're saying that the reason that you want things is because your future self already has them?
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot.
That there's a timeline where you already have that or something.
Right. And like, you know, in the belief of infinite timelines and that any of them are okay, none of them are wrong. You know what I mean? Right. Like any left turn or wrong turn is ultimately going to like reroute and redirect eventually back to home. But it's like, can we have the most flowy and fun experience of being home and coming back home spiritually?
I feel like the going with the flow is like the healthy version of that is. Dang, did I lose the flow?
I think I know where you're going with that. Is it
the healthy version of that is the knowing that like no matter what you do, you're going to end up where you're meant to end up. It's a certain level of trust, like you were saying.
And I think that there can be a courage in that too.
Going with the flow and the healthy version of it, it doesn't have to be passive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. It's like going with the flow is not just going with like the external flow, but going with your internal knowing of what's just going to be the juiciest experience for you. You know, so going with the flow is me actually like stepping up when I get that spark of curiosity or, you know, whatever it may be. Like,
like figure out what's holding you back from participating in that.
Yes. Yeah. Or just jump if you can. You know what I mean? Because I think sometimes I spend too much time trying to figure out what the thing is that's wrong with me or something. I was
thinking more so if you have a habit of always like avoiding it and not jumping in, it's like maybe figure out why.
True,
like,
yeah. Yeah, pull at those threads. Are we protecting something that's
ego or something, trying to protect us because we needed that protection in the past, but it just doesn't serve us any longer.
Exactly. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. And I will say, like, everything really just worked out perfectly on this trip. Like, there were a couple times that I witnessed, like, oh, there was a spark of, like, maybe I want to go this direction tonight, or like go connect with this person or check out that camp or like whatever it may be. And even in those moments where I saw the beginning of a timeline, it was almost just seeing like a future instance. It wasn't something that was like meant to happen in that moment. And like there was a time where that happened where what ended up transpiring was like one of the most healing moments that I had. Like that happened a couple times, in fact. Like that, like it was actually like this longer route that I was able to like get what I really needed, you know? And like, yeah, I don't know. So the trust in both directions, I feel like it happened perfectly for me to like learn those lessons and have those conversations and have those moments with certain people that like really informed like owning my desires and owning my resonance of what feels like an alignment. Because I think that in some ways I've like quieted my desires. Like they're just like soft whispers, like, oh yeah, if this happened, like that'd be cool, but like it's not a strong desire. It's not a strong like, oh, like I need to make that happen or something. Like I really want to create that in my life, you know? And I'm seeing that like, why? Like, yeah, maybe in some instances, maybe it is just like
why what?
Like why am I like that? Why am I not like prioritizing stronger desires? Why am I not feeling stronger desires? Like, why am I not allowing those sparks of the flame to like really become a bonfire of like, this is what I want. This is what I want to create. And this is the resonance that I'm operating at, like to really own it.
Do you feel like you're juggling other things in that moment that make you want to deprioritize like that? Like, oh, have I eaten? Do I feel like I have enough energy to do this? Do I have other obligations?
Yeah, at times. Yeah. Or subtle ways, maybe like prioritizing other people's desires too. But something that also came through this week was remembering that like my desires aren't just about me, because I'm not like a hedonistic person really. Like that's not like a strong aspect of what's happening here, you know? So
We've been so conditioned to take everybody else's thoughts and feelings into account that we don't realize that doesn't serve them or us.
Right. Yeah. Especially if it's like a fear of like, oh, well, I don't want to be too much for someone, or I don't want to like impose myself on someone, or I don't want to like create this whole branch of like having to like, I don't know, you know, when you encounter people out in the wild and when there's a spark of gravity between people, like it is almost daunting to like, it takes energy to start a new connection with people. And like, I'm not always in the mood to like have to do that dance. I feel like, you know, sometimes like, I don't know.
When I feel like when you're following the right inspiration, it doesn't feel like effort.
Yeah.
So that's part of so the whole thing in human design with all the decision-making processes and stuff is because From my understanding, it's like the paths that we take aren't supposed to feel heavy and effortful. Like, we're so conditioned into thinking that things you have to be pushing a weight up a hill in order to be making true progress. Whereas in reality, supposedly. Like, what if things don't have to be that way and we're just used to doing it the hard way because we don't know a better way?
Right. Yeah. Which is such a like capitalist program.
Because, like, when you feel resistance to doing something, I think it's important to look at where the resistance is. Because on one hand, it could be your brain telling you, like, oh, I don't feel like doing this. It might not turn out good, da-da-da. And that's mental, and we don't realize it.
And
then on the other hand, we could be feeling resistance because our body is telling us no. And sometimes we have to experiment to figure out what's the brain and what's the body if we're not used to distinguishing those. And that's part of my experiment right now. So it's like I'm thinking of things in that way.
Makes sense.
Like, sometimes I just don't feel like doing something because my mind is like, oh, I'll have to do a bunch of steps and it feels overwhelming, but it's actually a thought.
Right. Another component to that is like preparing for the moments that we want to be in. You know, I'm thinking in terms of, you say that like maybe it doesn't have to be hard work, and the image that comes to my mind is like, if we are pushing this rock up the hill or whatever it is for whatever reason, maybe we're trying to build a castle on a mountain. Like, that's a cool desire and thing to create, but maybe we find ourselves strong enough to do this, and then it's not crippling to us because we've actually like been using our body, we've been building our muscles, we've been increasing our capacity and all these different things. So I think it's just another example of the more we take care of ourselves, the more we're going to be like capable in the moments of feeling a particular spark of something. It's like, oh, I can do this, you know? And I think maybe that's where it catches me off guard, is where like I haven't been doing my homework, or I haven't like mentally prepared, which like I kind of want to stop having to feel like I've mentally prepared for things, but that is I guess maybe a comfort zone. And there's like a positive to that too. Like, we could spend time in the Neville Goddard imaginal practices of like really spending time in the future in our free time
those
to
set
imagine
you
that.
up to control your mind and not have your mind control you.
Yeah. It's like exercising the mind to be able to feel safe enough to enter that timeline, because on some level you've already familiarized with it. It doesn't feel like a stranger danger timeline.
The mind just needs something to do. It's going to do something either way. It might as well be something that's helping you.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest takeaways from those schools of thought.
Yeah, 100%. Well put. Because it's going to be yapping one way or another, so we might as well like get it to work for us.
It's going to be yapping. It's going to be envisioning things.
Yeah.
You know, like the little devil and the angel over your shoulder.
Yeah.
The mind is always going to be doing that. It's just a matter of how conscious are you of the process and how much of it is chosen instead of just conditioned into you.
Exactly. Yeah. And remembering that worry and anxiety in those ways, like we're literally casting a spell in a direction that we don't want to go. You know, like that idea, that meme or whatever, that like worry is a prayer for something that we don't actually want to
the devil. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So the other aspect of it that I was going to mention is that with our desires, like when we are really acting out of like a genuine soul curiosity and like really just trying to be in resonance with whatever we feel like our deepest desire, our deepest mission is, which for most of us involves like connecting authentically, right? That's mutually beneficial. You know, I have to remember that like I do have something to share with people, and that people appreciate that, you know?
So, you know, a lot of times how we feel like we have to take into consideration what other people are feeling and thinking before we make a decision sometimes. And then we were earlier talking about authorities, like basically following your pull or push or whatever you have that tells you to do or not do certain things. Well, we're very heavily conditioned to put others first. And I've been experimenting with the understanding that I've heard in different schools of thought that it's actually important to put yourself first, because it is being in, like connection with source or with your inner knowing, higher self, about what's the right course of action for you, takes the responsibility off of others to like make sure that you're happy. And it also takes the responsibility off of you to make sure that others are happy. And then it becomes that every person's experience through life is dictated by their own alignment, not what other people are doing. So, of course there's a balance to that. We should consider others, but it shouldn't be our like top priority. And it's in finding your alignment and learning how to listen to yourself that you end up doing what's best, not only for yourself, but for others. Because think of it, it's kind of like enabling in a way. If you're always trying to make another person happy, you're enabling them to not be responsible for their own happiness.
Yeah. That's such a good point. Yeah, the sneaky layers of people pleasing are pretty insidious, because on a level we think that we're trying to be kind, but it's actually just niceties. Niceness is not necessarily very kind if we're substituting truth for politeness.
Yeah, look up the what is it called? The etymology of the word nice.
Oh yeah? Say
it's
more.
Gross.
Really?
It's so gross when you look it up.
What do you remember about
it? Not the specifics, but I just remember it not being what you thought it would be.
Interesting.
So it's like if you've ever heard somebody say that like being nice and being kind is two different things.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, that's one of the quotes from my friend Paige that stuck with me. Is she said that like sometimes just being upfront with people is actually the kindest thing you can do, even if it's something that they don't want to hear. Something to that effect. But that's actually like an act of kindness to
I needed to hear that for something I've been thinking about today.
Yeah. And it's in service of harmony. And I think sometimes people think that harmony is just like the fruits and butterflies and everything like that. Like it's just the sweetness of life. But that's not what harmony is. As a musician, like there's dissonance in the frequencies of even a beautiful chord. Sometimes if you strip away some of those notes and only play two of them next to each other, it's like, not really happening. But that dissonance actually creates beauty, not to mention through time, not just one chord, but going through the passage of like, this is kind of like a gnarly chord, but then it resolves. That's what harmony is resolution of whatever karmic stuff we're on. So we have to like really, if we want to be in service of harmony, it really requires being conscientious of the dissonance that exists within my own body, between me and me, and then the dissonance that might exist between me and you, me and the different people in the community. And if we're not being truthful in our communication and acknowledgments around those potential conflicts or bits of dissonance, trying to bypass it, like that's actually just a wider layer of dissonance. We're actually being a disservice to harmony there.
I really needed to hear this. I feel like you just broke it down in a way that like connects right into something I've been grappling with the last few days. So thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. And to kind of bridge it back around too to what I was saying, that like when we want to like metaphorically or literally like sing our song, if we're feeling some sort of like soul desire to do XYZ, feeling some intuitive push, if we're denying that, we're really like denying the harmony that wants to exist. Like when we sing our song, like there's others that are going to show up that want to harmonize with us, that want to sing along to that heart song, and whatever it is, to like break down the metaphor, like literally just people want to hear what you have to say. Like people want to see you shining. Like people want to like cheer each other on and like be a part of something that like, I mean, what's more like enlivening than seeing the human spirit like really like stand up and like, you know, whether it's for justice or for just like empowerment of the self.
That reminds me of a realization I had the other day. I don't know if I posted it on like Threads or something, but it occurred to me. I was thinking about authenticity and how when we're not being fully authentic, we're like neutral. But it's not until we polarize people by being fully ourselves, because, you know, there's always going to be people who love what you say and who hate what you say. But when you're not being authentic, it's just neutral and everybody's like okay with you. But it's not until you have the polarity that you have magnetism. So you can't even attract the right people to you. Like I mean, I guess that's like a scientific way of thinking of it, but it really helped me because I was like, dang, you know, like my situation was I've been thinking about my social media a lot. And I'm in this situation where I have a lot of people who have been like my Facebook friends and stuff and on Instagram and whatever for a long time. But during this time, I've grown a lot and I've been stepping more and more into my authenticity. And I realized that I feel the weight of all of these connections from different areas of my life, all these people who know all these different versions of me. And I realized that I've toned myself down a lot because I knew that like I would startle certain people who have always been in my life. But I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, yeah, like this doesn't work anymore. I shouldn't feel like I'm carrying every person I've ever known every time I make a post.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize I was doing that. I was like, oh no, I'm authentic. But the thing about authenticity is that it deepens over time. Like there's layers to it. And I'm finally hitting that layer where I'm like, dang, I haven't been as authentic as I can be because I've been like subconsciously considering all of these other people. Whereas I really need to just be focusing on myself and what I need to say, you know, and give myself to not only say things, but like make mistakes. You know, I may say something that offends some people, but I have to trust myself and my life and the people in my life to the point where like I'll be able to work through whatever comes up.
Totally. Yeah, well put. And that was something I needed to hear too. It's like, stop trying to avoid having haters. Like every true artist has like people that are all about their stuff and people that are not about it at all. And I feel like even just like showing up on a microphone at the pub or on a podcast or whatever it is, like there's part of me that just doesn't want to ruffle feathers. That's really in disservice to in disservice to authenticity, like you said. Yeah.
People need their feathers ruffled. That's my new motto for myself, or my new, what do you call it, mantra. But I have to remind myself this because it's like there's a lot of people who would never grow, who would never deepen into their own authenticity if something didn't like spark or trigger them. So like at the end of the day, you're doing people a service, even the ones whose feelings you might hurt. Because you're enriching their human experience. We're here to feel and experience and have opinions and like things and dislike things. And it's that constant movement that's what generates polarity, not only within you, but within others. So it's like magnetism. Once you generate magnetism, it not only serves you, but also the people around you. It boosts their magnetism just to come into your orbit, whether they like you or not. So it's like, at the end of the day, we have to ask ourselves, are we contributing to the movement of life? Because everything is in motion.
Exactly.
Like, that's how we get vibration. That's how we get physical matter. That's how we get everything.
100%.
It's things constantly going back and forth between extremes and changing states. And I'm just realizing, like, I haven't been allowing that within myself. And I think that's why I've felt stuck in my life for so many years. It's because I wasn't generating polarity. I wasn't generating magnetism. It's because I was trying to make sure everybody around me felt comfortable. Like we shrink ourselves in ways we don't even realize, and it hurts not just us, but everyone around us.
It's a disservice to the human spirit to prioritize comfort too above all things. I mean, that's another like kind of little lesson that presented itself when I was on the road is that, like you said, life is actually in constant motion. And when I really only spend my time in 4 rooms or whatever, and in this very like calculated and reliable routine, there's an aspect of the human spirit that's really not being fed because, like you said, I mean, it's all about that motion and movement. And that's what I was thinking about, like that polarity. It gets things moving.
Generates electricity, electromagnetism.
Had me thinking too about like that's how you align with the puzzle pieces. I'm thinking of like, if my aura is a particular puzzle piece, I want to match with the other pieces that fit well together. You know what I'm saying? And like that's only going to happen if I make the motion to get things moving. If I have the courage to create a life that feels good in a particular moment, to create moments even that feel energizing and exciting and whatever it may be, that's gonna like magnetize those puzzle pieces to align versus like, well, I'm a puzzle piece and I'm unique, but like I'm just so chill. I'm just so chill. I'm just so good with the flow. Well, dude, you're just sitting on the table, just like amongst the pile of other puzzle pieces that aren't like matching at the moment. Does that feel good? Like we can be chill when we're dead. We're here to live. You know what I'm saying? Like we're here to like make messes and create art and find out a little thing about the human spirit on the journey of doing those things. I want to say too on that topic, like this might be a nice quote to end on. Banksy, remember the graffiti artist? Yeah. I don't know if this is a real quote from him or not, but I saw a meme that attributed it to him that like great artists comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable.
I love it.
Yeah, that's always really resonated with me. Like to really honor that is the next step, I suppose. Yeah.
So I do want to say something else about this topic. So there is this YouTuber who I really like. She makes like, I guess it's a podcast, just her talking. And she's a painter, so you see her painting as well. Her name is Desi Jones. And she has this one episode I keep thinking of from this conversation, where she's talking about like how people are saying they're having their villain era. And what's actually just happening is that a lot of people are finally, stepping into their authenticity and not carrying the weight of considering everyone else before they speak.
Right.
Not letting that hinder what they need to express. And it hurts a lot of people's feelings, especially when you're surrounded by people who are used to your silence and neutrality. And so it's like you can get really strong responses from people sometimes. And, sometimes you just have to play the villain in another person's story because you can't control that. Doesn't mean you're necessarily evil, but that could be how they're experiencing you in that moment. And it's like, I think the so-called villain era is about finally letting go of controlling the narrative. But yeah, she talked about that a bit in her video and how people are calling it the villain era, but it's really just people like finally stepping into, feeling comfortable with who they are and speaking their truth and stuff.
Stepping into their truth,
Yeah, I couldn't help but think about that fit right into this conversation.
I'm glad you added that for sure. I definitely, trying to control the narrative is a big part of it because we don't want to be seen certain ways. But like, if you are a villain in someone else's story, like that's really kind of their issue. Like it's kind of none of my business what other people think about me. Like, if we're really in our truth, we know that we're not. I mean, some people swing that pendulum in extremes and like maybe actually do become selfish and inconsiderate or something like that as a trauma response to the way that they've been and not considered or something like that. But like, that's not what we're like advocating for, obviously there is consideration for other people and realizing like, but again, the consideration is deeper than the surface level. The consideration is that me honoring my truth gives a permission slip for other people to honor their truths too. You know, to break through the programming on both sides.
Yeah. So it's very healing. Even when you sometimes hurt people's feelings. And it's like, that doesn't mean you can't be, what is it called? That doesn't mean you can't apologize and feel genuinely like sorry for hurting someone with your words. But at the end of the day, it's like, you gotta use your words. Otherwise, your throat chakra is blocked.
Right.
And that causes a whole bunch of physical ailments.
Right. Totally.
So I like to remind myself that our existence is an experiment. You know, like we were talking about human design earlier and figuring out your authority. But also, like, authenticity is an experiment. It's like you have to push your own limits to know how far you should or shouldn't go. And you have to create a space within yourself to be okay with the results of your experiment, because they can be negative impact, positive impact. You never know, because it's an experiment.
Right. Yeah, it's making me think too that like serving the authentic self is not like finding the one true avatar for your ego body. Like it's like actually an authenticity that goes deeper to allow myself to be fluid. Like I can be person A and person Z on the same day, depending on what's appropriate or what I feel like experimenting with. You know, and finding
and that's
that.
Also, I just thought of like one aspect where people might be judgmental of others for not being authentic. But the reality is, I feel like we deepen into our authenticity naturally as our nervous system can handle it. So it's like, I try not to judge other people who are like, you know, I'm like realizing that they're so fake or something. But it's like that may be what they have the capacity to do at this time, because they don't feel safe to be themselves, which is very valid. Like a lot of our conditioning about being inauthentic comes from having to find safety first. You know, socially not knowing, or, you know, like for example, with kids and their parents growing up, it's like, you know, if you cut up, you might lose access to food and comfort. You know, safety. So it's like a lot of these things we learn in situations where they served us. Our inauthenticity does serve us to some degree, which is why it's there in the first place.
That's such a good point. Yeah. I think it kind of just becomes a matter of like, are we still empowered and serving that old world and those old programs, or do we want to like start to pioneer a new way of being? But you're right, it's not just like, oh well, we were programmed poorly, like we all just need to like step it up. There's very real thresholds to cross in terms of like nervous system regulation and rewiring.
And mental habits as well.
That comes along with it, yeah.
What are you envisioning is going to happen when you finally speak your truth? Are you envisioning that you'll be rejected? Because you'll attract rejection if that's what your focus is.
Yeah, if that's what you're feeling.
So there's so many components.
So true, yeah. Yeah, let's maybe do a part 2 of talking more about the nervous system stuff, because that's like a whole nother level. And even just like what we were talking about before, in terms of like co-regulating two bodies together, you know, how that's like so healing and necessary and so very neglected in most realms of society. But yeah, we better cap it here before we get on another hour.
No, it's okay. I'm running out of communication energy anyway.
Me too.
So.
Do you want to offer any particular reminder highlights before we?
I kind of want to pull a card.
I thought about that. Yeah, you got a deck.
Fill up to it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm really kind of feeling my archetypes deck. This is a deck by an artist named Kim Kranz. I have a couple of her decks, and really wonderful art. Tapping in to the universe, our conversation, and look for any confirmations or concluding notes for today, or just a card that, oh, there we go. I was going to say a card that wraps up the energy for today. And I got the seed. Is it showing up? It looks like really trippy on the way the pixels are distorting it.
Oh, no, it looked pretty clear to me.
And then I'll read it from the book. All right. The seed, the beginning, the origin, the pearl. Beginnings come in many forms. They are not always a beautiful seed placed intentionally in nourishing soil. Origin stories, like any birth story, are complex, surprising, multi-layered, and usually reveal a central image or detail that represents the fully formed being. Simply stated, the end is present in the beginning, or the entire oak tree resides within the acorn. Whether you follow this imaginal theory or not, know that when this card appears, there is potent generative energy all around. That makes me think of the polarity and magnetism because it's generative energy. It stirs your very insides and usually results in an antsy and patient feeling. Pay particular attention to what agitates you, as it is a sure sign of growth to come. You are bumping up a... It is from the grit that the pearl eventually comes to be. Wow.
Dang, spot on.
Right. So when in its like positive manifestation, the archetype of the seed is generative, fertile, germinating, and building. When it's in its negative aspect, it is festering, stewing, and dormant. Can you hear my nephew squealing in the background?
No.
To go deeper, it says you could look up James Hillman's acorn theory in a book, I guess, called The Soul's Code. Okay. And then there's a couple other quotes on here. One of the alchemist's favorite images was the pearl. The irritant, over time, becomes the treasure. What is your grit? And then the other quote is, the true seed is elusive. If we follow any story towards its origin, it spirals farther and farther back in time. In this way, we are always the seed and always the fruit it bears.
Dang.
Man.
Yeah.
That hit
on a few different elements that we talked about.
Yeah.
Definitely like the living from the end, like serving the highest self that's already been through time. That the oak tree exists in the seed. Yeah. Like you said, the polarity of the working through dissonance in service of harmony. That's a... It always shows up.
I'm feeling nudged to show real quick the back of the deck, which is usually associated with hidden energy around the question. And it was the mountain. Yeah. Not gonna read that one, but from the image, I feel like it says a lot.
Building that castle on the mountain. We were talking about that. Yeah. Sweet. Well, that was a perfect recap. Thank you for that.